my sons and daughters.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Aurora Smedley podcast, where I speak with you about what the world needs to hear. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about what prevents people from following their dreams. And I guarantee you that this is not a take that you have heard somewhere else. So first of all, this is a very personal topic for me because I believe very strongly in people following their dreams. And personally, I have really overcome a lot of fears, limitations, and doubts in following my own dreams and manifesting them. And when I was a young girl in high school, the dreams that I had at the time seemed completely out of reach and totally far-fetched. Now it seems very doable for me because I've done it. But at the time, it seemed completely out of reach, very difficult, very edgy, very beyond what anybody would expect of a straight A student, somewhat goody two-shoes Asian girl. I was very, very square, very well behaved, did not do anything too crazy, but I had all these dreams of doing things that were, in my view at the time, completely nuts. When I graduated college, one of my long-term goals was to become a full-time musician. And essentially, I moved to China and had this happen in about 2 months of moving there. I wanted to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, which is a long-distance backpacking trail that goes from Mexico to Canada. And so I hiked the PCT in 2017. And then I also became a motorcyclist. I owned reptiles. I traveled to many different countries on my own. I lived in different countries. I shot music videos in different countries. And all of this happened because I was willing to align myself with what was true for me at the time. And I am very grateful to have been able to manifest these dreams that I didn't believe were possible as a young girl. But now I have many more dreams that I want to realize as well, that I want to embody. And so I want to share what I have learned from my experience breaking these shells, breaking these reality frames that I used to have as a young woman, and what really enabled me to get to the point where I was able to fulfill these desires and dreams that I had for many years. So I'm going to start by talking about the main blockers that people have to following their dreams. And then I'm going to get into how to shift that so that you can come into alignment with your own dreams and creative flow. And the first is, and I guarantee that this is not going to be what you expect, but the first major blocker that people have to following their dreams is external validation. And I know that this may seem like maybe overrated, but most of the fears that people have with regards to following their dreams, the fear is actually not the actual fear. The fear is about how others will perceive us if we do it. If we follow our dreams, other people will see us as reckless. If we follow our dreams, we will fail and fail publicly in the eyes of others. If we follow our dreams, our father, our mother, our brother, our sister, our friends, our uncles, our people in our spiritual community, in our church, from my high school graduation class are going to look at me and judge me because of the decisions that I have made. These are the fears that we truly have in relation to following our dreams. So because of this, we shut down what we want because we are trying to fit in. We are trying to be like other people. We're trying to go along with the herd. We're trying to fit into the flock. We're trying to belong. And all of this is something that we should want. We should want to be surrounded by people that love us, that support us, that care for us, that support our dreams, etc. However, unfortunately, when you follow your dreams, sometimes people will not align with that. And sometimes these fears that we have are not real, but sometimes these fears are based in truth. And this truth is that we may not receive external social validation for what we're doing. So you might, for example, post on TikTok 1,000 times before you actually blow up. You might post 200 songs before you actually become a big artist. You might go after your dream of starting a business and fail. You might go and follow your dreams and lose friends because they're judging you, right? Any of these situations, we always have to deal with this issue of external validation, this social validation of people who may or may not believe in what we want, who may or may not actually approve of us going after what we want, who may or may not validate us, and who may even reject us for living a life that is aligned with who we are and what we so deeply desire to manifest in this reality. And to take this a step further, this idea of external validation doesn't just stop at social validation. External validation also includes things like financial validation, reality validation. And what I mean by this, by financial validation, I mean getting paid for your work, getting paid for the things that you believe in that are your creative output, for example. That might be your business endeavor, that might be your creative endeavor. Basically, we want to see a return on our investment as far as if we are going to put out creative work into the world, if we're going to go and chase our dreams, we want to feel like we have money in the bank. We want to feel like we have security. We want to know that we have control over our lives. And the truth is that there is in business this valley of death that pretty much every single company has to go through. And this is documented in entrepreneurship, etc., that there's a valley of death that you need to go through before the business becomes financially viable. And this valley of death is when things are lean, when you've put in the investment, but you don't see any of the results yet. You've gone all in, maybe you've spent everything that you have and nothing's working. And so so financial validation is another part of this picture, because in order to get through the valley of death, you have to keep going. You have to believe in the vision without having the financial validation yet. So this is another form of external validation, is this idea of financial validation. And then next, I'm also going to point to reality validation. And what I mean by this is that the image that we have in our mind of the reality that we want to manifest is not going to be externally validated until that thing manifests. So for many months, perhaps many years, perhaps even for many decades, we need to hold the vision in our mind, trusting and knowing that vision will manifest, even if we are not externally validated by reality itself. When reality itself is denying your inner truth, is denying your inner reality, can you keep going? Can you find the internal validation? Can you find the internal strength to keep going regardless of this external validation. A very common way of discussing this is believing it before you see it. You have to believe it before you see it in order to see it in the first place. If you will only believe it when you see it, then you cannot manifest things strongly into your reality. You cannot be a true creator of what is beyond this current reality, because you will only believe in things that have been done before. And I feel that doing things that haven't been done before is part of the creative gifts that we as humans have been endowed with by the universe itself. So the next big fear, or the next big blocker that I want to discuss to following your dreams, is something that I will call lack of trust. This is essentially not trusting the flow of life and the universe to have put that dream in you for a reason. The dream that you have inside of you was put in you by the Creator. It is the universe itself that gave you that dream, and the universe would not give you an assignment if you were not capable of fulfilling it. That the assignment was given to you by the universe itself. Many of our deepest dreams, many of the things that we so deeply care about manifesting are the things that don't come from us, but come rather from the universe, from our higher self, etc., and are simply in our minds, and it is our job to believe in it enough to manifest it. And I'm going to shift my language a little from believing it to knowing it, because when we know it, we know that it already exists in a parallel reality, in a future reality, etc. When we know that it already exists, it speeds up the rapidity of it appearing in our lives. When we know that it exists, when it becomes a normal part of our lived reality, is when it will show up for us. So for those of you who are into more spiritual conversations, one of the ways of seeing this is that all realities simultaneously exist at once. And in order to create a reality in this reality, we center our focus on it until it manifests. We center our focus on it, believing with 100% certainty that it exists, and it will manifest in this reality. Because reality is a co-creation between our consciousness and the consciousness of the universe. So now that I've gotten into two of the main blockers that prevent people from following their dreams, I'm going to talk about how to actually shift this in order to be able to realize your dreams in this lifetime. So the first thing is internal validation. And this is centering all of your validation internally. So much of what we want, we are often trying to get validation from other people. It's almost like we're trying to grab validation or grab some kind of fulfillment, some kind of recognition from other people. We want other people to see us as hardworking, diligent, reasonable, smart, intelligent, good-looking, dashing, charming, rich, successful, refined. We want other people to see us in a certain light. And when we look for external validation, we are shifting away from our authentic expression in order to get someone to like us, in order to get somebody to applaud us, in order to get someone's validation. In other words, we are shifting our behaviors, our actions, our authentic expression in order to get something from someone else. And that something is that applause, recognition, validation. And so each time that you are making any kind of action, something to pay attention to is whether the action that you're taking is for someone else. If it is in any way for any other person other than for you and the Creator. And this doesn't mean that you become selfish and you start hurting other people or taking things from other people or being amoral. This is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, are you doing what is in alignment with your highest self, regardless of how other people may respond to that? Are you coming from a place of truth, light, and creation? Or are you coming from a place of lack, restriction, and limitation? And it is through our alignment with our true, authentic self that we begin to manifest things in this reality with greater rapidity and reflect the things out into the world that we want to see happen. So now I'm going to discuss how to shift and surmount these things that prevent us from moving forward. And like I said, internal validation is critical to being able to guide your life from a place of your own internal truth. But the next thing that I want to highlight is going in the direction of your fear and vulnerability. And I want to distinguish between fear that is of something physically dangerous versus fear of doing something that is so true to you that you are afraid of being seen as what you truly are. Because that, in my view, is what vulnerability is. And what I've found is that the path of the greatest personal growth comes from following the line of where you feel the most vulnerable, where you feel the most exposed, perhaps, where your internal emotional truth is so bare to the world that it forces you to grow as an individual. And that in following this pathway of vulnerability, in finding the places where you are afraid, finding the places within yourself where there is darkness, where there is fear, where there is limitation, where there is doubt, where there is lack, as we clear these areas within ourselves that feel fear, doubt, lack, limitation, restriction, as we address the limitations within ourselves, we become more aligned with our highest self-concept, and the results that we want to see in our life begin to more effortlessly manifest. And I'm going to point out another side effect of this, and this is actually maybe a more painful aspect of manifesting your dreams. And that is that as you manifest your dreams, certain people, places, and things are going to dramatically exit or enter your life. There may be rapid life changes, such as moving, losing a relationship, gaining a relationship, losing friends, gaining friends, losing a job, gaining a job. But it's in that period of loss that the fear and the vulnerability and the limitation really shows up. And it's at that point where you really have to inject faith, trust, and love of yourself into that situation. Because what really happens when you start to follow your dreams is that your vibration starts to elevate. Your frequency, your energy field, so to speak, becomes more clear. And as your energy field starts to shift in frequency, anything that is not in resonance with your frequency is going to drop off like dead flies. It's going to fall off of you, and it may take a short time or a long time for the next thing to manifest in your life that is aligned with your new frequency. So when you shift your frequency, there will be a departure and entering of things into your life. And oftentimes the loss happens first. This is because your energy field is being cleared of what is not aligned with your higher version of yourself. As you elevate your frequency, as you elevate the amount of light that you're bringing to the world, items, people, and things, and emotions likely will be cleared from your system in order to create space for the next energy to arrive. And so this is a challenging aspect of manifesting your dreams and realizing the potential of your beautiful and replicable, I don't know. Irreplicable. Yes. Your true and irreplicable soul. It is something that is just that as you start doing this, the people, places, and circumstances that are aligned will come into or out of your life. Sometimes in a dramatic fashion. And this is something that, once again, brings up our desire for external validation. We want other people to believe in us. And so then when our life looks messy, when things start to fall apart, it looks like we're doing something wrong. It looks like a situation where we should judge ourselves and where we become afraid of other people judging us because our life is not matching maybe the story, the dialogue of what externally people are saying is supposed to happen. So because of this, we need to trust through the loss and know that what is for us, and that the thing that is aligned with us is coming to us in this moment now. So this has been a fascinating episode. I love talking about the spiritual stuff. I love talking about this. And I, once again, want to thank you for having this extended conversation with me through this camera. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.